know exactly what you are trying to tell me. We are not in the realm of subatomic particles. We are not into animal behavior, where an animal that is habituated to human presence behaves differently. We are into movie making. I recently had a huge, wild argument with people who were, the entire theater was full of filmmakers, all of them cinema verite adherents. And there was this thing out, they postulated, the only real documentary would be if you were invisible and you were like a fly on the wall and just observing, nobody sees me. And I said, no, you créteurs, this is wrong. I want to be the hornet. I want to be the hornet that comes out and stings. I want to stage it. I'm a director. Mm-hmm. I'm not just like an observation camera in a prison tract which sees one prisoner is trying to escape. That would be cinema verite. No, I think as a filmmaker, get involved. Mm-hmm. Tell you, 20 times I told Dieter Dengler in Little Dieter Needs to Fly, no, stop it, you forgot the most important detail. We do it again until you get it right. So the key elements in the film I shot 4, 5, 6 times. Mm-hmm. So I get involved, I want to be involved, I want to shape the film, and I want to go to a deeper stratum of truth, which is not merely fact-based. Mm-hmm. The mistake is that facts constitute truth, and that's a mistake. It actually does not happen. It's a similar mindset, yeah. No, quite often a feature filmmaker is just out for an illusion, for a beautiful illusion, and some of the best films are just into creating a wonderful collective illusion, like Fred Astaire films. I really like Fred Astaire movies, and they're just complete illusions created, and that's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of some of what I have done in terms of documentaries, I said in quotes, is that I have staged, I have invented, I have stylized, I have articulated, I have directed them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And only because of that, some of these films are much stronger than anything you can see out there. Why shouldn't you as a writer write a drama, and then as next you would write a poem, and then you would write a novel? Has happened with great ease to writers all over the world throughout the ages. So, no, it comes very easily to me. Mm-hmm. That's a too schematic sort of question. No, very often I don't turn the camera on. Quite often I do not, yeah, and it's not a hard part not to roll the camera, and it's not difficult either to roll the camera. I see things very clearly in a situation. I understand the inner pattern, the inner structure of a human situation. And sometimes I would film when nobody would start rolling a camera. Or sometimes somebody tells me a story and has finished the story, and I don't switch off the camera. And I just don't switch it off. And I don't, and I don't, and I don't, and I don't. And all of a sudden, something extraordinary comes as an afterthought. Has happened quite often to me. So I know it out of experience, and I know it because when you make films, you have to know the heart of men. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you know what to do when you switch it on, when you switch it off. Mm-hmm. But I'm not one of those who keeps the camera rolling all the time. that's an idiotic way to, that some young filmmakers think I have to cover everything, and later they delegate it later, the decision making, into editing, or even later into post-production. You have to know what you are doing when you are shooting. No, the projects always stumble into me. I've never searched the project. And you see grandeur. I've made, I give you a lineup of my last 3 films. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, with Eva Mendes and Nicolas Cage and Val Kilmer as leading characters. After that, I made a film that is only 4 minutes long. A tiny film, 4 minutes long, a musical, I call it a musical, that I shot on the southern border of Ethiopia. And after that I shot a film with a fairly small budget, but with the best of actors and with a wonderful story. So there's nothing grandeur out there. If I ask you, would you be willing to make a 4-minute film? You would probably decline, but I love to do it. Okay. I would not work if I didn't have the final cut. I would not work if I could not work with the actors that I really liked to have in my film. And I would not work if I didn't feel culturally absorbed by Hollywood. I keep saying I still make somehow Bavarian films. There's a distant echo, a cultural echo in them. And at the same time I take responsibilities that no director ever takes. I signed the contract only with Bad Lieutenant, a big production company that normally does Rambo and things like this. I signed and had in it that I had to take charge, not completely, but take charge also of the budget and spending of money. And I said, I always deliver a film on time and on budget. In this case, I stayed 2 days under schedule, and I stayed $2.6 million under budget, which is completely unheard of. Nobody has ever heard of that in Hollywood. So now the producer wants to marry me now. When I say he wants to marry me, he has offered me at least 6 projects, which were all not really interesting, so I declined to do it. But what you see on screen is the director's cut, which nobody has in the film industry in Hollywood. However, I have to say I'm not particularly ideological about Final Cut, because Final Cut, when it comes to any form of real film industry, is a pure myth. It does not exist. All the way to even Steven Spielberg. If he makes a film and its final cut is neither with the directors, nor with the distributors, nor with the producers, nor with anyone, it's with the audience. What you do is you show your film in a secret test screening, and when the test cards come back, and I think it happened to Spielberg, 85% of the test cards say the end is way too long. 5 minutes later, Spielberg is back in the editing room and makes the end shorter. So it is a myth. It lies with no one else but with the audience. And I'm speaking of the film industry. So, but in my case, I was very lucky because the audience accepted the film as it was with great enthusiasm. So nobody started to talk about making modifications.